Hello. I'm one of the partners in Zeroth. I'm also leading the Tokyo batch this time. Zeroth has started 2 years ago, and we are now having our first batch in Tokyo. And we have two partners. Myself, I also work for Cinnamon, which is my full-time job, and I'm a CTO of Cinnamon, leading around 80 of deep learning engineers, and also I'm doing a partner of Zeroth. And also my venture partner, Jin, he is a graduate of batch 2, and he's actually the hidden MVP of this demo day. I'm starting from my personal story. I was born near Kamakura. Actually, it is still Yokohama, so it's a little bit different, but anyway, it's a very quiet place. And I came over to Tokyo after I graduated university, and then I did 2 startups in Tokyo since 2005, and then I made 2 exits. The one is called Zeroth Technologies, and then the other is called Naked Technologies. Both exit by getting acquired by the big companies here in Tokyo. And then I wanted to extend my career from only 2 domestic Japanese guy into more global guy. So that is why I just travel all around the world. And then I found that Southeast Asia has a lot of potential as well as the energy. They are enjoying the GDP growth, and I fell in love with this place. So I decided to come over to Singapore first, but accidentally I stayed in Vietnam for 6 years. And what I was surprised is that Vietnam used to be a very, not quite developed country at that time, back in 2012. But I found that a lot of technical talents exist there, and they have a very strong passion as well as a high technical skills. So I used to feel that Japan has a very strong advantage in terms of technology, but I was wrong. It was pretty shallow thinking, but actually in the global area, there is so many engineers who are doing pretty good in the IT sector. And then now I started to flying around Asia. Zeroth is starting from Hong Kong, but it also expand our businesses in Bangalore, Hong Kong, and Tokyo. So my life is also, along with those expansion, I need to fly to everywhere in Asia. And one thing that I found is that unlike Beijing or unlike Silicon Valley, ecosystem is not centralized. Yeah, taken for example, in Silicon Valley, there are tons of VCs, tons of the startups, tons of the talents, tons of the engineers, tons of the business developers. So everything is there. So that allowed them to do a lot of a great job in startup. But in Asia, actually, all of those are distributed. For example, Tokyo has a very good B2B market. Actually, the market size is huge. But for example, in Vietnam, huge amount of computer science talents there. And in Singapore, there are good fundraising environment. There are tons of venture capitals and other investors, and also some other place, a good process on digitalization as well. In, for example, London here. London has a very strong fintech ecosystem there. But all of those things are not centralized. So that is why actually for single city, it's a little bit difficult to make a huge success as a startup. So what I want to do is the global AI industry fusion. And then the mission is clear. I want to create 100 billion in a valuation of the AI startup by 2030. That means that $100 billion is maybe as competitive as Silicon Valley or maybe in Beijing. It's not neglectable. And then how to do it is to take advantage of the Zeroth to make a 1 billion company multiplied by the hundreds of companies. And then the Tokyo program is our first attempt to both ways. For Japanese startups, it is a great chance for them to go out from Japan to be connected with a lot of Asian guys or even the US guys or Europe guys. And then for foreign startups, it is also a great chance for them to come in to enjoy a huge Japanese market. So it is one of the first steps for me to try to make a fusion of an AI ecosystem. AI game has changed in 2019. It is a bit of a technical talk, but the first one is about a data network effect. So like, it used to be believed that the companies who acquire tons of the data will win over the AI era. But of course, it is still valid, but some of the startups are not requiring much of the data. But still, with a small data trends, small data means like even with a limited amount of the data, the deep learning model can be at a very high accuracy. And this is like the latest, maybe a couple of years of inventions by tons of the researchers. And then they say that maybe only like hundreds of data set can allow the deep learning models to do a great job. And then there's one of the game changer, I feel. So it is a great chance for startup, right? Because even without the data, in case they choose some of the right thing, they can do a great job. And then the second part is the deep learning algorithm. This one, like, used to be believed that like only a top 0.1% of the genius AI talents can do a great job. But now, most of those algorithms are like commoditized because, for example, the TensorFlow or even Amazon or Google provided tons of models, which is very easy to use. So it's a good thing as a bad thing. A good thing is that like tons of people can enjoy the deep learning. And a bad thing for me is I used to be this genius, but I couldn't enjoy this moment anymore. But anyway, it is a commoditized. And so it's also a good opportunity for startups to start an AI startup. I have run the Tokyo batch and I found 3 key findings. Number 1, which is actually obvious, is that AI geniuses surely exist in Asia. For example, the Robocan in Japan, or Mata Stars from Vietnam, and Rosetta from Taiwan, GI from China, Sapiens from Hong Kong. They all have a great amount of AI talents inside their team. Actually, for them, it's a very early stage, so they don't have much of the money, but still, they succeeded in getting a great number of the AI talents there. So I feel very hopeful because one of the strengths from when we start the company from Asia is to get an AI geniuses. Not that difficult, I believe, compared to Silicon Valley. And then one of the interesting statistics is that the Beijing is a little bit inflated in terms of the salary, but Japan is relatively cheaper compared to the Silicon Valley or Beijing. And then Taiwan is even cheaper. Vietnam is much more reasonable. And of course, the central age of the deep learning engineers is around 30 years old or even a little bit younger than that. So that means that expertise or the experiences does not matter too much on the AI development. But still, so like young talents from Vietnam or Taiwan, they are doing a very good job in the technologies. So I believe that, for example, maybe even for the Silicon Valley startups, they may be able to set up some of the R&D office in Taiwan or Vietnam to form the team to do this kind of system. This is one of the AI ecosystem fusion, I think. The second finding is about the domain expertise. Unlike 2 or 3 years ago, when most of the startups were talking about like a deep learning technologies, or we have a technology, AI, talents, but now tons of the startups have switched over to the domain expertise side. So it's more of a like aiming sharp at the vertical, which they really can win. For example, the Hotta box from a Tokyo batch, they have, actually it is an IP sector. IP is an intellectual property sector. And then the founder is a patent attorney founder. And then the second guy is a Finn He. He's the Vietnamese, but he's tackling the fintech problem, and he's an ex-banker as well. And then Rosetta AI from Taiwan. They're tackling the e-commerce problem. And they used to work for the e-commerce service as well as engineers. So this domain expertise attracts investors. This is number 2. Number 3 is a fusion of AI and academic knowledge is a very strong weapon. For example, the Clark Smith, the founder is a media art professional, and they are working on a visualization in a photorealistic way. Anytech, they are providing a deep liquid. The CEO studied about a liquid, and then they are now working on the deep learning technology to inspect the liquid. Sapiens, the CEO is a linguistics professional at the linguistics, and then they use the NLP engines to do the personality profiling. We have 3 things again. One is a good tech team formation can be done in Asia, which is very exciting. Number 2 is a domain expertise. So you can enjoy how all of our founders have a domain expertise. And then number 3 is about the fusion of AI and something else to make their differentiation very clear. So thank you very much again for coming over, and please enjoy the rest of the pitch sessions. Thank you.